Welcome back, folks, to some more Callahan's Crosstime Saloon. The biker dude is getting closer. Who's this big fucker?
Hey, Captain.
You didn't happen to bring back any extra samples of testosterone, did you?
Why?
In case I need to arm wrestle anybody.
You leave the arm wrestling to the experts. You stick to thumb wrestling.
Joe scribbles a quick "Hiya, Jake" on his pad and flashes it at you. You often feel bad for having to have Joe write so much. He's had a great many speaking friends, but almost none of them know M-Slam or American Sign Language. While you do know the alphabet and a few dozen signs, you don't know nearly enough to follow Joe when he's conversing with other signers. You need to tell, and you can tell he dislikes having to sign as slowly as you need him to. Sometimes when you see him, the two of you practice, but he's clearly far too anxious to take the time right now.
Calm down, bud. What's the problem?
Ralph's been kidnapped.
Are you serious?
Joe nods his head energetically. They took him to Catskills.
Where exactly is he?
Don't know the name of it. Mountain with fence guards. Huge metal door built in.
Did you get anyone's attention?
No, I did think it was a good idea. Wanted reinforcements and someone else to die for it, thing.
Who's they?
4 guys took him with suits, but I think I saw him peek at the mountain facility.
Didn't they identify themselves or say anything when they took him?
Told people at Pet Shop they were CIA.
Were they arresting him?
No, probably didn't think they needed to read rights to a dog. Didn't volunteer any info.
Well, you were right about the trained cockroaches and the CIA, so I have to believe you now.
Jake, how about it?
Guess I'm just a guy who can't say no.
Be sure.
What the hell? I've been running around the world getting people angry at me. Really, if I should be fighting with anybody, it's the government.
Great, let's go.
I better let people know where we're going in case we don't come back. Meet me outside.
Joe looks panic-stricken at your delay, but hangs back to wait for you to leave. That deaf bastard go. You jump into your truck, lean over and unlock the passenger side. Joe climbs in after you and navigates, pointing most of the time but jotting things down when necessary. You take the Northern State Parkway west, the Throg's Neck Bridge over to the mainland, and then 687 north to Catskill Mountains. About 2 hours after leaving Callahan, Joe directs you to pull over by the side of the road.
Now's a good time to pull out that big old plan you were working on for this.
Maybe I can distract the guard. You check out the guardhouse.
And then?
See if the fence is on. See if there's a way to turn the security off without being obvious.
Okay, how are you going to distract the guard?
Joe pulls out a camera out of his pocket and winks at you. Then he starts off toward the guardhouse, stops, and comes back to your position.
Did you forget something?
Joe reaches into his pocket a second time and pulls out his keys. On the keyring is a small, slender silver whistle. He twists off the keychain and presses it into your hand.
This. What is this?
Ralph gave it to me. His whistle, just in case.
Shouldn't you keep it?
But Joe has already gotten back to his feet and walked to the guardhouse. He walks near the guardhouse and begins to snap flash pictures. The guard immediately walks out from the guardhouse and approaches Joe, who backs away, taking the guard further and further from the booth. Finally, he stops backing away. He probably has a guard with sufficient distance from the guardhouse for you to sneak in and out of, if you're cautious. Alright, we'll grab that knapsack there. While Joe's distracting the guard, you sneak in the guardhouse. Once inside, you stay low to the ground, trying to keep your head below the window level. The equipment is antiquated high-tech, not having been updated since late 70s. It went from poorly designed bomb shelter to an effectively redesigned research storage facility. Looks like we got a fucking lunch bag here. Whoa! Got a grappling hook, some goggles, some suction cups, wire cutters, pocket knife, and our trusty whistle. All kinds of neat stuff. Use the Phillips screwdriver to the left of the main blade, parallel to the corkscrew. You quickly remove the 4 screws from the 4 ends of the panel. Better save before I blow something up. The wall phone hangs near your head. It's one of the old-fashioned kind with a round plate with a rotary dial. In the center, on faded paper underneath a layer of the clouded celluloid, is scrawled the phone's extension, 512. Clearly, the phone can't be used for outgoing calls. First you want to rotate the green and red strips. And then switch them with each other. I think we're good here. The pencil is far superior in every way, except yours sticks out of pocket. Of course, that could be an advantage, but probably not. Now we gotta put the screws back in. Peeking out from your kneeling position inside the guardhouse, you see that Joe and the guard are still playing keep away from the camera. You take the opportunity to dodge back out into the bushes. The next thing you know, you hear the guard utter a cry of victory. From your concealed position, you see the guard holding the camera aloft and away from Joe's grabbing hands. The guard pops open the camera and pulls out the film, turning his body constantly to fend off Joe. Joe sags in pretense of defeat as the guard hands him back the camera, its back still hanging open. Joe trudges off down the road. The guard goes back in the guardhouse and watches Joe recede into the darkness. Joe walks past you without acknowledging you, goes past the truck, and walks even further down the road to make sure the guard can't see him anymore. 5 minutes later, he sneaks back to you.
Excellent.
What a jerk. Does he think a photographer only carries one roll of film?
Bring the wire cutters close to the fence and cut the shits open. Reminding Joe that he should have the truck waiting for you when you return, you gingerly pick your way through the circle of sharply snipped chain link. Keeping low to the ground, you dodge from tree to bush to tree, trying to get a little closer to the mountain each time without a guard spotting you. The dark of the night helps provide cover, and eventually you come just within a few feet of the mountain. Breathless from exertion of running in a low crouch, you come to the rest in the small thicket of scrub near the side of the front entrance. The massive door set into the mountain looms on your left. To your right is the scaffold. There's a narrow corridor between them. If you were to wander out into that corridor, you'd quickly be spotted by a guard. You walk to the little door trying to appear purposeful, matching the slightly brisk pace at which everyone else is moving. You arrive without incident and try the door. It's sealed tightly, as if it were part of the wall itself. You free one hand and grab some of the jutting rocks, testing them to see if you could haul yourself onto them. But your knowledge of rock climbing is nil, and no other rappelling equipment is in Joe's knapsack. After a few all-out attempts to pull yourself onto the rock face, you resign yourself to the fact that you just don't have the training or sheer muscles for this particular sport. Each of the two cables on the scaffold ends in a heavy metal clamp. You quickly snatch the tarp off the scaffold, bundling up under your arms and praying it wasn't noticeable. You frantically scrabble at the heavy metal base covering the ground. Your fingernails click against it futilely, like a dog on a hot skillet. We're talking about a hot dog, naturally. There's a lot of resistance from which the winch as you raise the tarp. It unfolds as you draw it upward, forming a dirty gray curtain in front of the dirty gray door. You stop when their clamps reach the top of the scaffold. You walk beyond the tarp and press your body to the huge metal door. The suction cups take hold and you perform a human spider routine up the doorway. And a more graceless human spider there's never yet been. With the tire iron in hand, you're able to easily pry the vent loose and swing it over to the side. When this is all over, you'll have some calls to make. There are a lot of TV news magazines who'd probably love to show everyone how easy it is to break into this place. With the vent now open, you set about struggling into it. First you remove a suction cup from the door, place that hand inside the vent and affix the cup to the smooth metal surface inside. When it's a simple matter, then you do the same with the other hand, which gives you enough leverage to pull yourself into the cramped space. You remove the suction cups from your arms and legs. As you do, you notice a light breeze being sucked in from the outside. Good, you think. This is a simple ventilation shaft. Then you smile, not a whole lot though, at the thought of getting stuck somewhere in the shaft and your dead body rotting in the vent for months while the feds go crazy trying to find the source of the stench. Wouldn't that joke be on them? The faint light that enters behind you is sufficient to get you past a turn to the left and twist to the right. After that, you find yourself in total darkness. You put a hand to your face to see if you're wearing a headless box, but you're not. You pull the goggles onto your head and flip the small power switch on the side. After a moment, the world pops into view, in various shades of green and gray. It's like being inside a gigantic Nintendo Game Boy. Alright, now we're inside the ventilation with our night vision on. You blow the whistle, but any response you might hear would be drowned out by the nearby fan. You hear the faint barking echoing from the ducks up ahead. You hear faint barking echoing to the ducks up ahead. To the right. Raising the goggles so that you don't blind yourself, you look down into the vent. The cafeteria is just below. Today they're featuring the Dillinger Deluxe, cooked goose on a slab of marble rye, Hoover's favorite turkey salad with hot cross dressing, and Mississippi fries. And we just keep following the dog bark with the whistle. Hot dog! That's Ralph's Von Wow Wow down there. He seems to be in one piece. Alright, so now that we're above the vent where the doggy is, by the look and smell of the dingy, dirty little cell, they've got him. They've been grilling him for hours, in both senses of the word. Ralph is panting and his fur is matted. You think you see him flick his eyes up towards you. Sitting across from the tired-looking sergeant in shirt sleeves, he speaks to Ralph in a quietly threatening tones, but it also rises shrilly from time to time, as if the sergeant's patience is about at an end. On the other side of the partition, a researcher and military person watch, trying to tune out the abusive bluster of Ralph's interrogator. You're able to catch a few snatches of the other conversation. They're discussing, of course, exploratory procedures that will help them determine how Ralph is able to speak. They both seem impatient to move beyond the interrogation phase. As the scientist points out, anything Ralph tells them is completely suspect anyways. And then you could swear one of them says, both of them. The sergeant sitting across from Ralph wipes his forehead on the drenched sleeve of his shirt, curses, and resumes interrogation. And we save our game. Alright. Got a dude with a gun. A sergeant, a general, a scientist. Alright, well. Put our glasses back on here. Turn off the fans here. You tug on one of the wires and it pops off the terminal. The fan shuts off. With all the fans off, the cell grows increasingly warm and moist. You hear a lot of movement in Ralph's cell. Crawl back to the vent. The air in the cell has become practically unbreathable. The scientist and her companion stand, their clothing sticking to the backs of their chairs. File out of the room. A moment later, they knock on the door. The impatient officer yells at Ralph to stay. Stay! And he walks out and closes the door behind him. Hey, what's up there, buddy? You carefully dislodge the grill and put it into the duct. Ralph looks up at you and thinks, smiles.
I knew it wasn't Joe.
What? You could tell by the way I whistle?
They're distinctive. You'd be surprised.
Maybe not. It's an instrument. Kinda.
Calm down, but be quiet.
Are they right outside?
I don't think so. But people keep walking by, and thank you for coming.
Joe's outside.
I know.
You set the grappling hook on the lip of the vent and then lean on with it as much body weight as possible to help sink the hooks into the thin metal ducts. You reach down and pull the rope to test it. The hook stays put. Ralph paces nervously as you ease yourself out of the vent and slowly lower yourself onto the rope until your feet touch the floor. You turn around and whip the rope until the hook dislodges and deftly catch it. Wrap the rope around your arm and turn to Ralph.
This is very impressive, Jake. You know, I heard somebody here say that the CIA is looking for a few good assassins.
In high school, I was voted least likely to be an action hero. So have you noticed any prospective exits?
I'm game for the ducts.
Well, there's a problem with that. It lets out above the main door, and that's a long way to the ground. How are you with suction cups?
I had one a long time ago. It passed right through my system.
Okay, we'll find another way.
Alright, let's take that cap there. The uniform. You look through the pockets of the uniform. You find a small key, a folded subpoena, a wad of cash rolled into a cylinder, a fortune cookie-sized slip of paper with the word phonics on it, and a crack pipe. After weighing the pros and cons of taking his stuff, you finally decide that it's safest just to take the key. Wait, what? You don't want the fucking crack pipe? An ashtray full of butts sits on the table. Wadded up papers are scattered around the desk on the floor. The report is entitled Implications and Applications of Heightened Intelligence in Domesticated Animals. You never learned how to type. When you were in school, only girls were allowed to take the typing classes. You took shop instead, and to your credit, you still have the napkin holder you made as a final project. In fact, it's hard to imagine where you would keep your napkins without it. The drawer is locked. You try the little key from the uniform in the desk drawer. It makes a satisfying click. You open the drawer and look inside. It contains a memo. Commencing immediately, unannounced ejac drills will be performed on an irregular basis. Immediate lockdown is required and all locks should report as read on systems. Diagnostics will periodically be administered during ejac drills. Beta security procedures will be in effect. You notice a handwritten note at the bottom of the memo. Gotti, fish, chegin, egthum, kinoikin, mokikin, gymnasium, bribni, upper snop dog. That was translated, of course. Alright, let's get the hell on out of here. Deciding to see how the other half lives, you slip on the uniform and the sergeant's cap. Thanks to you, the Army one-size-fits-all tailoring is not too horrendous, although it makes you look a little fool in the back, so to speak.
Boy, am I glad to see you.
What did you do, Ralph?
I guess I shouldn't have gone on Nightline.
I told you not to go on Nightline. I told you people would see you.
So you told me, I admit it. I should have gone on the new Bill Cosby show instead.
The handle swings down effortlessly, but the door is still locked.
I don't think that's helping.
It's not doing much for the door, but it is alleviating some of that tension I got from crawling around in those ducts.
That's good. You're very aware of your body.
Well, right now I am, what with you talking about my body and all.
You open your wallet to inspect the contents. We'll use the old license on the door lock trick. And hope that the lock is a simple one. You slip your driver's license into the slit between the door and the jamb. You peer in and see the stiff plastic laminate is indeed helping to push triangular bolt back into the door. After a couple minutes of wrestling, you succeed in pushing the bolt back. You leave the license in place and slowly turn the handle and pull the door open a crack. Ralph pads over and joins you and peek out the door to see if anyone's around. They're not. You slip your hand outside the door and feel for a latch or key. There isn't one. There's a pair of buttons above and below the bolt on the narrow edge of the door. You switch their positions and disable the lock. Having unlocked the door, it now opens easy as you please. You step out into the room beyond the cell, and Ralph trots over and stands behind your legs. The cavernous interior of Mount Weather echoes with the voices and footfalls of countless military and civilian personnel. That it must have cost to hollow out this mountain you can't begin to guess, but the biggest question in your mind is, where do they all park?
Can you tell whether or not there are people behind that door? You know, smell it and see what you get?
Yes, I could. But you know, Jake, maybe this is the time to put your training to the test.
But this isn't like truffle hunting. Truffles smell horrible. I don't have the olfactory sensitivity you do. I can try, but...
There's no try, only do. Trust your instincts, Jake. Let go.
Okay, Ben.
You kneel down and pretend to be petting Ralph as you sniff around near the bottom of the door.
I don't know.
Close your eyes.
Yeasty.
Mm-hmm.
Sour. Sweaty.
Very good.
I'd say there's a room with people in it. Men.
And?
Beer.
Close.
Non-alcoholic beer.
And?
You detect a greasy note.
Cheese fries.
Very good, Jake.
Thank you. Believe me, it's luck.
In my experience, there's no such thing as luck.
You You begin to sniff the cell door, then you remember that if anyone had gone in here, there'd be an alarm raised. You walk to the little door, trying to appear purposeful, matching the slightly brisk pace at which everyone else is moving. You arrive without incident and try the door. It's sealed tightly.
How about sniffing this one?
How about it?
You're gonna make me do all of these?
Why not? I won't let you make any big mistakes.
You crouch down, close your eyes, and sniff away.
Ozone.
Ralph waits for more.
Oil?
What kind?
10W30.
Good. And?
It's sharp, I don't know.
It envelops you and guides you.
Acetylene?
Very, very good. Are there people in there?
You press your ear to the door.
Cheating.
Yes, there are people. At least there's a woman in there.
And she's wearing?
You take one more good drag.
Stetson for women.
Be proud, Jake. Be very proud.
You begin to sniff the door when Ralph goes into action. He stands up, his hands against the door, and starts to push the handle with his nose. You immediately catch up with him and grab the handle.
Wait, is it safe?
Ralph mutters something you can't quite hear and starts to scratch quickly at the door. Realizing that he's attracting attention, you turn the handle and he bolts in the room beyond. You stick your head inside the room and quickly scan for humans. You see none. The room's lights are the half brightness, but obviously a laboratory of some kind. You're struck by a strong animal scent and another one, a powerful antiseptic, and the combination is sickening. You can only imagine how overpowering it must be for Ralph. On the far side of the room are stacks of cages. Ralph has already skittered between the lab tables and is running down the stacks, bumping cages, his paw finding no friction on the smooth floor. Before you can reach him, he tries to come to a screeching halt, overshoots, paws clicking frantically, and runs back the other way until he stops in front of one large cage in the bottom row. Ralph settles to the floor and lowers his head between paws, coming face to face with another dog. They sniff each other, Ralph wildly twitching with excitement, the other one more tenderly.
Yes, it's a very bad smell.
Ralph's body stiffens in the shock at the sound of her voice.
Wait a minute.
Ralph stands up and sticks his nose to the cage. You reach down and open the cage door. Ralph steps back so that the other German Shepherd can come out. They sniff each other from head to toe.
I know you.
But you don't remember me.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
You are Ralph. It's okay. It's been a long time. You are just a whelp.
Wait, Tina?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my dog.
I didn't think I'd ever see you again.
But you're speaking.
I'm sorry, excuse me, but I'd like an introduction.
Tina, this is my friend, Jake Stonebender. Jake, this is my sister, Tina.
A pleasure.
The three of you walk out of the lab into the atrium. And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching Callahan's Crosstime Saloon.